The movie starts in Kiruna, Sweden. A news reporter talks about a strong earthquake that happened recently and mentions that the city has more than 100 small earthquakes each year. We then see a group of friends hanging out near a mining site. One of them, who is a bit drunk, decides to go past the safety fence to relieve himself, even though his friends warn him not to. As he stands alone there, he sees a small crack in the ground ahead of him. Before he can react, the ground beneath him starts shaking violently. Later, at the Kiruna mining headquarters, Frigga, a strong-willed woman in charge of safety, arrives after the morning earthquake. She gets an urgent call from her colleague at the site, reporting an incident with teenagers near the mining area. Meanwhile, the group of friends near the mining site is worried. Two couples, concerned about their friend who wandered off, followed his trail into the darkness. They find him, but their reunion is short-lived. As they talk nervously, the ground suddenly gives way, and they fall into a large crack. Back in New Kiruna, Taj, Frigga's ex-husband, spends his birthday alone, sad because his children are not with him, and he has a strained relationship with Frigga. The movie switches between scenes of Taj remembering happier times with Frigga and their son Simon, and the events at the mining site. Frigga, driving with mixed feelings, remembers moments with Taj and Simon as she goes to pick up Dabir, her current boyfriend, from the train station. Dabir surprises her by arriving earlier than expected, wanting to spend more time with her before heading off for work. Their drive is interrupted by a group of protesters blocking the road with signs demanding an end to mining activities in Kiruna. Frigga, determined and authoritative, warns the protesters and drives through the blockade, even though her daughter Mika, who is among the protesters, is visibly upset. At Frigga's home, Dabir and Frigga share a moment of intimacy, interrupted by Taj's unexpected arrival. Taj, worried about Simon and somewhat confrontational about Dabir being there, adds tension to the situation. The tension increases when Ayla and Mika arrive unexpectedly. Despite the awkwardness, they try to stay calm as they light candles on Simon's birthday cake, hoping he will join them. Frigga receives a call from Simon's classmate's mother, telling her that Simon is with her son and asking Frigga to call her when they arrive. As tensions rise and emotions run high, another earthquake shakes the ground, prompting Frigga to rush to the mining site to help with the emergency. Meanwhile, Taj has car trouble, which he causes himself, adding to the tension between him and Frigga. During the tense drive to the mine, Frigga and Dabir talk about personal and professional matters, revealing their deepening relationship. Dabir tries to support Frigga as Taj's presence continues to disrupt their journey. At the mine, Frigga introduces Dabir to Frederick, a colleague, before more tension arises, with Taj's persistent questioning about Dabir's intentions. Their strained exchange touches on personal histories and unresolved emotions, especially about the divorce papers that remain unsigned. Inside the mine, Frigga, her colleague Erika, and, unexpectedly, Taj go underground to assess the situation. They navigate the rough terrain and encounter local myths and legends. As they explore deeper, Frigga accidentally triggers a small cave-in, injuring herself but confirming their worst fears about the mine's instability. Meanwhile, Micah continues her frantic search for Simon, gathering clues from witnesses who last saw him buying drinks. The investigation intensifies as they use advanced technology, like drones, to survey the damage and evaluate the mine's structural integrity. The severity of the situation becomes clear, and Frigga insists on immediate evacuation, fearing the entire city's collapse due to the interconnected tunnels and weakened earth. Outside Kiruna, at Ayla's home, a family moment turns terrifying when the ground suddenly collapses where the children are playing. Ayla reacts quickly, saving her siblings, and her father promises immediate safety measures to prevent further danger. As they prepare for evacuation, a sudden tremor forces them to seek refuge in a safety chamber, along with Roberts, another member of the rescue team. Meanwhile, Dabir arrives at the fire station for his new job, where he learns about the incident at Ayla's house from one of the officers. The officer tells Dabir about the tough challenges they will face as firefighters. Hearing this, Dabir feels disheartened. The officer adds pressure by mentioning Dabir's past role as a chief. Meanwhile, as Micah continues searching for Simon, she finds a drunk Oliver inside her car. Angry, she smashes the car's mirror with a rock. Ayla tries to intervene, leading to an argument that ends with Micah breaking up with Ayla. As Oliver flees, Dabir coincidentally drives by and nearly hits him. Seeing Micah chasing Oliver, Dabir follows them. Just as Mika is about to hit Oliver, Dabir stops her. Mika confronts Oliver, expressing her anger. Oliver explains that he got too drunk, and when he woke up, his friends were gone. He begs Micah to tell his mom because she'd be worried. Before leaving, he shares where they hung out. When Micah learns Simon's location, she quickly borrows keys from Dabir. While retrieving the keys, Dabir accidentally drops the box with the engagement ring. At the same time, Frigga's group was stuck in the safe area. They discussed their next steps, and Patrick began to panic. Erica reassured him that everything would be okay. Eventually, they decided to leave. Outside, rocks blocked their way, so they searched for another exit. Meanwhile, Micah talked to Dabir about her mother. Micah said her mom hadn't signed the divorce papers because it would hurt Tage. They also discussed Micah's relationship with Ayla. On the mountain, Frigga and the others found another blocked exit. Frigga saw a small hole in the rocks and crawled through to find a way out. When it was Tage's turn, he tried to crawl through but became scared. They discovered he had claustrophobia, and even with Frigga calling from the other side, he couldn't go through. After much encouragement, they convinced Tage to try, with Frigga telling him to think about Simon. But halfway through the hole, Tage panicked, especially when he got stuck. Frigga tried to calm him down, but it didn't work. Frigga crawled back in with a metal stick, telling Tage to hold onto it so she could pull him through, but he continued to panic. With no other option, Frigga knocked Tage out. Meanwhile, Dabir and Micah reached the rift zone. They heard a phone ringing and quickly found it. They went outside the fence and realized the sound was coming from the fault line. They looked at each other, realizing the terrible fate of the people there. Micah called Simon's phone, but there was no answer. On the mountain, Frigga pulled Tage through the small hole. Tage hugged Frigga, happy, but she kept her distance. After that, Patrick managed to crawl through the small hole too. When it was Erica's turn, a rock fell on her foot in the middle of the small hole. Frigga crawled back in to help her. Unfortunately, a few rocks fell on Frigga's legs too. Frigga didn't give up, but more rocks fell on her while trying. Seeing this, the two men pulled her out of the small hole. Frigga was upset, so Tage let Patrick go first for now. At the rift zone, Micah and Dabir kept calling for Simon, but there was no answer. After searching for a long time, they found the exit on the mountain. Outside, Frigga called Micah immediately. Micah answered and said they were at the rift zone with some beer. Micah said Simon might be there, and Frigga told her to let the police handle it and not come back to Kiruna. They should go to New Kiruna instead because the city was going to collapse. Hearing this, Micah remembered Ayla, so she quickly turned off her phone to go to her. After the call, Frederick spoke to Frigga about the situation. Frigga quickly stated that if another tremor occurred, the city would fall. Without wasting time, Frigga decided to go to Micah, who was heading to Ayla. At the rift zone, Dabir asked Micah about her conversation with Frigga, and she told him. Suddenly, a light post fell, narrowly missing them. Micah wanted to see Ayla, and Dabir tried to stop her because it was too dangerous, but she kept going. As they headed to Micah, Tage thought Simon might be at their house. As they talked, they saw a man they thought was Simon and followed him. They lost sight of him, so they got out of the car to warn people to leave the city. Meanwhile, Dabir and Micah reached Ayla's house and told everyone the city was going to collapse. Outside, Ayla and Micah reconciled. At Frigga's place, cracks and faults began to appear on the road, causing panic. As Micah tried to leave the car, a crack formed underneath. When she tried to drive, the car got stuck. They tried to free the car, but it wasn't enough. Seeing this, Dabir rushed to help, assisting the grandmother and Ayla. Micah's seatbelt got stuck as she panicked, and the ground sank. Dabir saw the mountain and buildings collapse. He got into the car and carefully removed Micah's seatbelt. The mountain's collapse started a landslide that destroyed everything in its path. Everyone ran as it passed. While they ran, they found a mother with children. They helped her, and Ayla pushed the baby into a stroller. Ayla was caught on the fast-moving ground, but managed to save the baby. Eventually, the family reunited, but Simon was still missing. At the hospital, a girl on a bed told Frigga and her mum that Simon was in Kiruna. Micah was shocked by what happened to Ayla, but Tage comforted her amidst the chaos. Dabir kneeled to pray at a special table, and Tage came to thank him for saving Micah. Tage saw the ring and asked to see it. The girl on the bed told Frigga that she heard Simon playing with his friends at the school. At the same time, Tage put the ring in his pocket. Seeing this, Dabir tried to take it back, but Tage refused, and they struggled. Frigga arrived and said she knew where Simon was. The two stopped and quickly followed Frigga and Micah. At the school, Simon's friend stood in front of the building, upset by what happened. They tried to talk to him, but he didn't respond. Hurrying inside, they found one of Simon's classmates dead. They heard cries for help and rushed to assist, but rocks blocked their way. Seeing a small opening, Frigga went in without hesitation. After she entered, rocks fell and blocked the opening. Frigga kept walking to find Simon. Along the way, she saw many bodies. While checking one, she heard someone asking for help. She found Simon's classmate, with metal stuck in her belly. After a long search, Frigga finally found Simon near a deep crack. The rocks around them started to fall with the slightest movement. The others came in too. As they got closer, Taj gave Dabir the ring back. They found Frigga as they went deeper. They tried to help Simon's classmate, but her injury was too serious, and she died. Quickly, they tied a hose around Frigga and lowered her to Simon. They went down slowly, and Frigga swung to reach Simon, but the rock they used to swing fell, and Frigga's thigh got badly hurt. Frigga felt a lot of pain and almost fainted. Above them, the three worked hard to free her. They were talking when a piece of furniture fell, narrowly missing Frigga. The rock where Frigga was hurt started to break. Simon ran to his mom and held the rock. Micah found a new way, so she ran to Simon, even though it was dangerous. Micah used a belt to tie around Frigga's thigh and move her away from the dangerous spot. They freed Frigga, but she fainted from the pain. After a while, she woke up. First, they lifted Simon by pulling him up. As Tage and Simon hugged, the ground they stood on started to break. Micah moved to the furniture hanging in the crack and helped Frigga jump to it. They lifted Micah, but the wire holding the furniture started to break. Tage saw this and held it, even though it shocked him, to keep Frigga from falling. Taj said goodbye, telling them he loved them all, and fell when he got shocked. After Dabir helped Frigga, he went to Tage and took care of him. Tage quietly asked Dabir to take care of and love his kids before he died. Soon after, the rescuers came, surprised by what they saw. Everyone stood, not knowing what had happened. Dabir took the ring from his pocket, looked at Frigga, and she smiled back. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.